Chapter 3. The New Catastrophe. Beloved Gnostic brethren, on this Christmas of 1967, it is urgent that we all very judiciously study and analyze this tremendous moment in which we are living. It is indeed impossible to deny that we presently live in moments of global crisis. In the history of our Aryan race, there have never been such terrible moments. Woes and weepings are heard everywhere. Executions are occurring around the world. Unhappy people remember their beloved relatives with supreme anguish as they waste the last moments of their life in hard labor camps. Widows with children who die of starvation, etc. The entire earth is filled with armies and wars. Rumors of wars are heard everywhere. The present chaos is awful. Nonetheless, the tyrants, while seated on their blasphemous thrones, uselessly intend to establish a new order based upon blood and drugs. Paris, as a great harlot, continues wallowing in its filthy bed of pleasures. London has become a new Sodom, or Sodom. It even intends to establish the legal bond of matrimony between homosexuals. I know everyone doesn't like this phrase, but the problem with this topic, and it's a big one that I'm not going to rant on about right now, but essentially the issue is that homosexuality is just not possible to do the work because, you need positive and, active and receptive, polar opposite energies to mix together, right? You need the proper genders or the sexes of male and female, masculine and feminine energies in anything like batteries to work properly and create. Like a battery creates energy through active and receptive forces. It's the same thing with humans. We're batteries. And because like any desire, homosexuality is just another desire. It's not a necessary desire. It's just like the desire for chocolate cake or something. It's not a necessity. Okay, that's that. The United States of America has fallen to collective madness because they have not only destroyed other countries, but moreover, they are also destroying their own. China, the venerable China of Confucius and Lao Tse, have fallen as a prostitute in the arms of Marxism and Leninism. China has imported a corrupted doctrine from the Western world. Nonetheless, they have declared themselves enemies of the West. The Third World War is inevitable because the ones who planned and performed the First and Second World Wars are already working very actively in order to make the Third World War a reality. The Third World War will be millions of times more horrible than the two former world wars. Any sense of pity has disappeared. Today, it is considered a luxury to have a heart of stone, a flint stone heart. Many schools and colleges teach their pupils that charity is weakness and that they must never give alms. This is how the students become perverse and cruel while sitting at their desks in school. The moral epidemic of the so-called rebels without a cause fell upon the entire humanity after the Second World War. These rebels are the children of the New Age who, without God and without law, go around organizing gangs. Everywhere and anywhere they go about killing, hurting, raping, getting drunk, and so on. And the governments cannot control them. The gravest part of these rebels without a cause is their state of absolute moral irresponsibility. When they are taken in front of the tribunals, they do not know why they have killed, why they have hurt others, and worst of all is that they don't even care to know why. The sublime world of art has reached the maximum degree of degeneration. The temple of art has been converted into a whorehouse. It has become a brothel where homosexuals, drug addicts, alcoholics, harlots, assassins, thieves, and so on search for refuge. Human corruption is so great that even homicide has become an art form. Moreover, the breaking point of madness is the fact that there presently exist organizations for assassins and an abundant amount of literature on the art of assassination. All branches of present-day art acknowledge lust, alcoholism, drugs, homosexuality, blood, and horror. In this day and age, classical composers are seen with infinite despite. To play Beethoven or Mozart in any modern festivity signifies the general withdrawal of the guests. The four blasphemous clowns, the Beatles, from the degenerated music of England, were endowed with the mark of distinction by the queen of that empire. The idiotic multitudes even kissed the ground when they walked upon. Everywhere there abundantly exists assassinations, robberies, infanticides, matricides, parricides. I don't know what that is. Parricides, euxoricides, assaults, rapes, genocides, prostitution, hatred, vengeance, sorcery, merchants of souls and merchants of bodies, greed, violence, envy, pride, arrogance, gluttony, love of luxury, slander, and more. Indeed, the Aryan root race is a rotten fruit, a fruit that will fall from the tree of life by the weight of its own rottenness. The students of occultism fill themselves with infinite horror when they examine the history of the Atlantean or Atlantis in the Akashic records of nature. However, the Atlanteans had religion. In that sense, they were less degenerated than the henchmen of Marxism, Leninism, who hate any religious principle to death. The initiates are filled with an unutterable psychic terror when they remember that woman with the seductive and malignant beauty, the queen Katebet or Katebet of the gloomy destinies from ancient Atlantis. With sovereignty, she governed the South States and the powerful city of the gates of gold of that submerged continent. Indeed, amongst the Borgia and Medici's family history, there does not exist a similar perversity as that of Queen Katebet. She captivated with her malignant beauty and necromancy. She fascinated and seduced princes and kings with her enchantments. In her honor, many maidens and children were immolated to the tenebrous entities of of the inner underworlds. In those times, the Atlantean sacerdotal medicine discovered what in this day and age we would scientifically call human opotherapy. That is, the infusion of glandular juices from the pituitary, thyroid, adrenaline glands, and so on, given to sick and caduceus organisms. The physicians did not only utilize the chemistry of the endocrine glands as hormones and juices, but moreover, they also utilized the hyperchemistry of such glands, or the psychic vital fluid, of the chakras, or magnetic centers of the human organism, which are intimately related with the endocrine centers. After having taken their immolated victims away from the sacrificial stones, the cadavers were transformed to certain secret chambers where the priest-physicians extracted the precious endocrine glands that were so indispensable in the preservation of the fatal queen's body. Her youthful beauty with all of her enchantments lasted for many centuries. The most frightening of all was this, of all of this was the moment in which the priests, after having secretly extracted the glands from the cadaver, would toss away the rest of the cadaver to the fanatic and corrupted crowds who would devour it hungrily. This is how the Atlantean populace became anthropophagi. The most frightening, or rather, when we reflect upon all of these things, we feel terrified, horrified. However, all of these barbaric acts are minor, even ridiculous when compared with the atrocities of the First and Second World Wars. Atlantean barbarity seems comical when compared with the monstrous explosion of the atomic bomb in the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All of the Atlantean barbarites are insignificant when we compare them to the gas chambers where millions of men, women, children, and elders were stripped of their clothing and died with the most frightening desperation. We felt horrified by Atlantean bestiality, but the bombarding of the martyred city of London, the concentration camps, the wall shootings, the hangings, the cities destroyed by the criminal bombs, sicknesses, hunger, and desperation were all millions of times worse. Never in the history of the centuries was such a great perversity felt than that of this caduceus and degenerated Aryan root race. The breaking point of all of this evilness is that now the Tower of Babel has been lifted in order to conquer the infinite space. If that which is divine does not interfere with what we call the conquest of outer space, then in a short time, the terrestrial hordes will assault Mars, Venus, Mercury, etc. And all of the crimes, such as those performed by Hernan Cortez in Mexico or by Pizarro in Peru, will be repeated again on those inhabited planets. If that which has no name, if that which is the reality, the divine, does not interfere now, then we will that will become an accomplice of the crime. This Aryan humanity is symbolized in the book of Revelation as the great human harlot, a woman dressed in purple and scarlet colors whose number is 666. So in the world of absurdity, there is nothing more absurd than to suppose, for at least a brief moment, that this great human harlot would conquer other inhabited planets with her famous rockets and would crown herself queen and sovereign of the infinite space. Therefore, the new catastrophe which will doom this Aryan race is totally just and absolutely indispensable.